Welcome, everyone, to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. And today we are talking about being present. We've been talking about the self love and how to give yourself more love. But that brings about resistance. And before I get started, I just wanted to add um, a sentence by Steve Jobs, the Apple co founder, who says, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." So let's innovate with the snap, tap, zap, and being a true leader from love instead of the old ways that we learned to lead with, correct? So sometimes we feel overwhelmed by distractions. We're trying to get something done. Somebody distracts us, our children that love to distract us, and we often answer, yeah, yeah, but are we really listening to them? Are we really bringing forward our best selves for our children? Remember when you were a kid? Did you enjoy being that kid who, was ignored by your parents? And how the brain registers that is very interesting. I had no idea that I had trauma until I really started looking more into what it is that was happening. Why is it that all of a sudden I had all these fears popping up, when all these ways of being, these habits that I'd promised myself I would never do? So the overwhelm that comes, and it's easy, these things that are playing in the back of our mind 24/7 distract us. And all of a sudden, we need to go do the groceries. All of a sudden, we need to check the live. Well, the live, yes, but all of a sudden, we need to check Facebook, or we need to go and do this. And we know that this project needs to be done, but we get distracted. So, in this episode, it's about slowing down, showing up for your family. That's not always easy to show up for our family. The best way that I know how, with a quick, easy, as we've talked earlier this week, is to just snap, breathe in, tap, relax the shoulders. Yesterday we talked about the spiraling train and blowing the overwhelm, the frustration. As soon as we notice we've said to our children, or we notice we had to do something else when the number one priority wasn't getting done. So we just breathe in, we relax, and we exhale that frustration right away. Why keep it? Why blame ourselves for doing something that was done by our parents or that we see done in society? This journey with me asks you to have a lot of self compassion. I still remember that time that I asked my son, "Oh, do you think I'm dramatic?" Because that's what my daughter said. "I'm so glad you're not dramatic anymore, Mom." And I'm thinking, dramatic? So I asked my son, I said, "Oh, do you think I'm dramatic?" And he says, "No, Mom, you are not dramatic. You weren't dramatic. You were neurotic." Excuse me? Yeah, I was neurotic. And it took a lot of self compassion for me to see that I was acting in a neurotic way. It wasn't who I am, it wasn't who I wanted to be. But I was in survival mode 24/7, and I was unable to detach from that, to come back to the present moment. And that's why noticing that we are in survival mode is so, so important. Some of the signs that you're in survival mode: you're very anxious, you're worried about the future, right? That's a lot of anxieties caused about worrying what the future is. I was told quite a while ago, Christine, 99% of what you think might happen will never happen. So why are you worrying? Well, I've got to think of all the aspects. I want my kids. And at the time, I was an elementary school teacher, and I had the 25, 30 kids in my class with all their IEPs, and a single mom raising my kids half time was a lot. And if I'd had this technique, I think I would have survived better. But I think I went through that so that I can help other moms and dads. And I know that dads right now have so many challenges. If you look for dad support, there isn't that much. It's kind of a taboo to go get help. When I met Christian Mendez, who wanted to work with me, I was so excited because I've wanted to work with dads for years, and the connections weren't happening and this and that. But today I know that I had to complete this learning cycle of my relationship with my dad before everything else could fall into place to create the ripple effect of love for dads and their families. Dads are very, very important for children, for their girls and for their boys. So, how do we learn to release that stress and focus on what truly matters? Really matters. Are you able to take time to sit with your family for a meal? We all have different kinds of jobs. Maybe it's not a meal. Maybe it's bedtime that you're there. Maybe it's wake up time. I'm not saying put your job aside. Definitely not. I'm giving you little suggestions. Pick one that will help you feel more of this self love, where you're sharing it with your child so that they feel loved. With teens, bring them out for a nice meal at a restaurant. Let them choose what they want. That can be hard. Sometimes, if we're a health nut, we want them to choose healthy things. But once in a while, and you don't talk, you just sit and you let them talk. They will talk. I tested this with a teenager. His dad wanted me to work with him, and he wasn't ready. He was on his phone. And I just sat there and self regulated, did my Snap Tap Zap, because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. I need to be in action. But actually, all I needed was to be me. Once he saw that I was even calming down more and more and just being there and just smiling, waiting for him to be ready. Wow, what we accomplished in the next half hour. The first half hour was me just sitting there. And the second half hour, we did more work together. It was productive, it was deep. We were able to go deep inside and see what was causing his depressive state. He was like, oh, going around and grumpy. And so we just looked, and then after, he was happy. He was joyous because he needed to release the pressure he was putting on himself, because he needed more self love. There was a part, sometimes there's a part of us that wants one thing, and then there's the other part, and there's that dilemma between both parts. And we need to to find the solution, to see what is working, what isn't working. But those two parts need to have a conversation between them so that we can bring them together to work together. I know this may sound a little bit weird for some of you, but don't worry about it. Just give me a call and we'll work, or email me and we'll work together to get to the bottom of this. But today, let's just snap, and I want to show you another trick. So when it's the head that's in the way, like the thoughts are crazy, so I want you to snap, and I want you to make kind of like a C shape that you're going to put around the ears and tap gently, or just do a rubbing motion around the ears. And this is really cool. And then, can you feel the difference if you've had too many thoughts coming forward? If you have a little bit of a headache, as soon as you feel a headache coming on, do this. Instead of criticizing yourself, which is often what causes headaches, whether it be conscious criticism or unconscious criticism, and then blow it up into a beautiful hot air balloon and see yourself pulling that handle that blows up the fire to lift off the hot air balloon and release. Let those thoughts be burned up. Are they serving you? Sometimes we just need to take a minute, write them down, because we don't want to forget, but they're taking up our mind space. And sometimes it's worries. So put them into the hot air balloon. Take a nice deep breath in. Scan your body. Where are you holding them? Okay, relax the shoulders and exhale. How do you feel right now? Are you feeling better? Maybe we need to do it again. Let's do it again together. Take a nice deep breath, scanning from the tip of your toes to the top of your head. Relaxing the shoulders and exhaling into the hot air balloon, letting go of those thoughts. Sometimes I see those banners that they have, like happy birthday, and I see them just coming out. If you're not a visual person, we talked about this in the last episode, maybe you can write a list, crumple it, and imagine you're throwing it into the hot air balloon or the train to write it down. The other day with a client, it was easier for the client to write on the hand what they were seeing and perceiving, so that then it felt real, right? And they were writing their list of what it is that's worrying them, or is overwhelming them, or is causing resistance, is preventing whatever. And then they were able to do this and just throw it like this, and it felt more real for them. Because some of us are raised to be, to do and do and do, and we don't develop that other part of the brain that needs a bit of creativity to get through. So, what is it that truly matters for you to be able to live aligned to self love? There's a lot of chaos in our world, in the news, in our families, in society, everywhere. So, what can we do to create more self love? If you're feeling calmer right now, just put your hands over your heart and breathe that in. Pause. Breathe it in. Relax your shoulders and exhale. If you can give yourself the moment to pause and be present, you can do the Snap Tap Zap right in front of your children. It's the best way for them to learn. It's not imposing. You are taking care of you in that moment. You're busy, you're doing something, and they're there, they're asking you, can I have permission to do this? And they get really good at when to ask. When you're super busy is the best time they're going to come. They're smart. So congratulate your kids for being smart. However, as parents, it triggers us, doesn't it? So we snap, tap on the sternum or around the ears, blow it into the hot air balloon while they're talking to you. And then you can just calm right back down and be present for them in that moment. It'll probably only take a minute or two. Or you can say, hey, I'll take a minute. Can you quickly tell me? Or do you have a form that needs to be filled out? Give me your form. I'll take a peek later. It shortened the time, and it shortened the time to get the tasks done, and your child did not feel the frustration. Most likely now, this time, felt heard. So I want to wish you all the best and continue to snap, relax, and tap so that you can zap out the overwhelm, the resistance to self love. I truly believe now, did not believe this 10, 20 years ago. I was too young, didn't get it. Some of you are here listening and you're way younger than I am, and I'm so, so proud of you. And I congratulate you for being able to follow this along and just be the best version of yourself. And when you're connecting with your loved ones, take the time to self regulate whenever they trigger. So, see you tomorrow for the Ripple Effect of Love, Episode 5, where you will be able to, where we will be celebrating your successes from this week. If you know a dad or a family member that could use this, please share so that people can be part of this extraordinary ripple effect of love. We all need more love in our lives. If somebody doesn't agree, it's okay. Those of you who feel that deep inside this need for more love is there, reach out and let us know. And I'm still working on all this technology thing. It's not my forte, but I'm glad that I have some help with it. And wishing you all the best. Take care and see you tomorrow, Friday, for success. How do you celebrate success? Let's see.